Hello, everyone. This is another of the occasional supplementary videos that I throw out there as we move through the course. In this one, I just want to emphasize the importance of the idea of boundary situation. This is introduced, I guess it's page 7 or so of Glenn Gray's essay on death and existentialism. It's an idea that comes from Karl Jaspers. If if one of the, I would say, two really big ideas that come out of this essay is the Heidegger concept of being towards death, that is, human existence itself is a being towards death, then the other biggest idea that comes out of this is the Jaspers concept of the boundary situation. I think that it's more or less not self-explanatory, but it's explained pretty well in the text that boundary situations are these limits that we come up against. These situations involving a limit or an end, but ones that are final in the sense that situations are those situations in which human beings find themselves powerless, and especially powerless to change anything, and that death, as Gray says, the most extreme spiritual exposure is the exposure to death. It's one of many such situations, I guess, all of which sort of are these situations where human beings come to the limits of their autonomy, their ability to shape their lives, and they simply have to accept. Other situations are guilt, suffering, conflict, and chance. Being other situations in which you realize your powerlessness in the situation. For instance, a situation like guilt, in which there's simply nothing you can do to change the situation. Death is one of those things where you can't do anything about the ultimate finality of death. You can only comprehend it. You can't change it. This is I think one of the most fruitful ideas that comes out of this essay, and also the related metaphor of the shipwreck. If a boundary situation is like a brick wall that we run up against at the end of life, then it's also like a shipwreck, and they're comparing death to a shipwreck is quite interesting. Here towards the bottom of the page, he quotes, "Shipwreck is the ultimate," writes he, "thereby that hopes for immortality are vain. Our frail crafts are afloat on an unending sea around which there are no ports." That's Gray's characterization of the idea of the shipwreck. To recognize this, the painful fact of human finitude, and we have to think about what that means, finitude, being finite, not being infinite. The inevitability of death can alone make life meaningful and significant. Well, okay, that's what they take from it. But that idea that we are ships at sea and there are no ports, and the obvious implication of that is that we are fated to sink. And that's the thing that has to be acknowledged from the point of view of the existentialist, that every human life ends in shipwreck and not in some transition to a new form of being, is the ultimate truth that each individual has to accept for this notion of boundary situation to be meaningful.